Rock Metal Nation, what is up? Real quick before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that Rock Metal Studios, the very same studio that brings you the Rock Metal podcast, is looking to help bands who are able to record their tracks either at home or in a professional recording studio, but need some help mixing. Go ahead and send me an email at therockmetalpodcast@gmail.com. That's therockmetalpodcast@gmail.com. We can go ahead and discuss mixing your tracks for free. The Rock Metal Podcast, episode 143 with Sense of Fear. Rock Metal Nation, what is up? This is John from the Rock Metal Podcast. That sample you just heard was Molten Core by Sense of Fear, who I've got on the show with me right now. They've got a new album out called As the Ages Pass By, which is released via Rockshots Records. And right now I'm being joined by vocalist Ilias to share some stories about the music and share more info about the band. Ilias, welcome to the show.
Hey, here's Elias from Sense of Fear. It's great to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely great to have you on. Let's go and listen back to that track, Molten Core. All right, come back from Molten Core. Now, definitely I love the chugging riffs blended in with the thrash elements. It's like a beautiful composition between the two. And I was just watching the lyric video, so I've definitely got some questions about what the song is about. Now, Ilias, why don't you go ahead and take us through the story or inspiration behind Molten Core?
Certainly. Well, it's a song written by one of our guitarists, Themis Iakovidis, and I wrote the lyrics about that. So the inspiration came just when I first heard the song. It was so, aggressive and also melodic at the same time. So it created an image like something with something having to do with fire and our inner spirit, if you want to put it that way. So the whole song revolves around the constant battle, in our heads between good and evil. So it talks about how every person has his own inner fire, and it also works as a shelter for us when you want to chill out and find some answers. But also it can have a different impact on our actions. So it's a place full with lava and fire and all the stuff that makes us human. So that's pretty much about it. It's about aggressiveness and also anger and also our inner fire. I will say that again.
Yeah, I mean, as I was listening to the song and watching the lyrics as they were coming across the screen, I was like, wow, this is going to be a incredibly uplifting track. And then all of a sudden we get to parts where I'm like, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's not uplifting. And then we get back to the uplifting part. So it's definitely a very yin and yang that we do have those moments inside of us where there are those good parts, those evil parts, and the struggle between the two.
Spot on, man. That's exactly my perspective. It all depends on what we have inside.
Yeah, cool. Now, I mentioned the lyric video a couple of times, so Rock Metal Nation, who dug the track Molten Core, if you go to today's show notes, www.therockmetalpodcast.ca, you can go and see the lyric video for Molten Core. Now, Ilias, go ahead and take us through the inspiration behind creating the lyric video.
The lyric video was created by our guitarist, Themis Iakovidis, and he just, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a molten planet, let's say. It's the core of a planet spinning around, exploding with fire, and having the lyrics on a similar setting. That's about it, the lyric video. It's pretty simple and straightforward.
Cool. Now let's go listen to the next track, Unbreached Walls. Metal Nation, it's John from the Rock Metal Podcast for a real quick break to let you know that Jay over at Metal Mayhem Radio is looking to help you get your band in rotation on his station. So go ahead and hit up Jay at studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. That is studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. Just go ahead and say that the Rock Metal Podcast sent you. He'll get you into rotation on Metal Mayhem Radio. All right, come back from Unbreached Walls. Now, even before I heard this track, I wanted to hear this track because I love the title of the track.
Oh, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And we've got a super heavy intro, and I definitely got a historical context from the lyrics. I just wanted to ask you, what's the story or inspiration behind Unbreached Walls?
Yeah, well, again, I worked similarly. I heard first the music was already written by John Kikis, our other guitarist. And I always wanted to share a story that I had in my head about how humanity, always shared a common ground about war, and how always attack always won a strong defense, So throughout our whole history as humanity, we never actually had a civilization that, lasted long enough to be what we are now today. So every time war marched on and destroyed everything. So it has to do with man's greed, man's lust for power, for more, for gold, for all those feelings, that man has, and wants to destroy everything, wants to fight all the time.
With a title like Unbreached Walls, is there a suggestion that there are walls that have not seen conflict?
I'm not sure. History has taught us that every wall always has been breached till now. So it's up to us to create something that will stand through time, I think. But we haven't created that yet. Always our lust and greed for power always got in the way.
Yeah. Kind of going back to almost the theme of the first track, Molten Core, you've got these evil inclinations and these good inclinations, and one of the evil ones is that thirst for power that somehow inspires almost an entire civilization sometimes to do many incredible things.
Yeah, you're right. Many songs share this, common, let's say, motive, but through different perspectives. So the first one was Molten Core was more personal and what each individual has to go through in his head. But this time, Unbreached Walls gives it a more, political view, and how since the ancient times, humanity fought all the time. We fought all the time, one another, and this concept was has always been in my mind, and I wanted to write a song about it.
Yeah, very cool. Now, for Rock Metal Nation who dug the track Unbreached Walls, if you go to today's show notes, it's www.therockmetalpodcast.ca. You can go and see the lyric video for Unbreached Walls. Now, similar question for you, Elias. What is the story or inspiration behind the creation of the lyric video?
This time, the creator of the lyric video is a friend of ours, Stelios Kourou, who is also a drummer of another great Greek band, War Drum, and we knew that he makes lyric videos, and we wanted him to be the creator. So he dug the track a lot. He thought it was great, and instantly those images that you see actually in the video came to his head, and he said, "Is it cool if I put it?" whole historic elements and scenes from war and walls. And we said, of course, do what you want to do. It's what we intended to do anyway. That's the song, what it's all about. So again, a pretty straightforward portraying the words, giving the words shape into a cool lyric video.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Now, speaking of even more exciting stuff for Rock Metal Nation, who dug the 2 tracks Molten Core and Unbreached Walls, they are actually 2 tracks that are coming off of an album called As the Ages Pass By, which you guys have released on April 20th. Now, I'm curious, go ahead and tell us more about As the Ages Pass By. What should Rock Metal Nation expect when they pick up the album?
I want to say that I think it has a variety, definitely, between the songs. We have some slow tracks, some mid-tempo tracks. We have a ballad inside, but mostly it's what we do as musicians, what Sense of Fear is all about. Keep in mind that it's our first album after many, many years, so it contains, let's say, our peaks in our creation process, if you want to put it that way. So I think it's strong, it's heavy, and I strongly believe that each metalhead will find something in there that he likes.
Fantastic. Now, the next logical question for Rock Metal Nation, who is super excited about the album As the Ages Pass By, they've loved the tracks Molten Core and Unbreached Walls. The next logical question for them is, how can we find out more about you? Is there a website that we should go to?
Currently we have our Facebook page that we share everything there. We think it's more convenient than our old school regular website. So you can follow us there in our Facebook page, and you can pre-order, of course, the album on our label's website, Rockshot Records, and you can find also the album everywhere. If you want to search more about our history and stuff, you can listen to this fantastic podcast or read any other interview that we have. But most of our info you can find it on our Facebook page.
Well, now that I'm blushing, sir, thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, Elias, is there anything else you wanted to throw out there? I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to come on to the Rock Metal Podcast and sharing Sense of Fear with Rock Metal Nation.
Certainly, man. It was great being here, and thank you again for having me. What you do is great, and keep on doing that. Keep doing that for as long as you can.
Metal Nation. Hopefully you just found your new favorite band in Sense of Fear. Big thanks again to them for coming on and sharing their music with us. Make sure to head over to www.therockmetalpodcast.ca to get all the information on the show you just heard today. And until then, rock on, Rock Metal Nation.
Rock